just, I do want to preface today with, we're going to try and make this really practical. As I said, we're not trying to claim that we do everything right or anything like that. Anyone who's married here knows, it's all a negotiation. You're just sort of finding your way forward. And the most important thing is that you keep finding your way forward. That's the most important thing. So we're going to try and be pretty honest about our relationship.
Oh, very honest.
And so be more honest than I'm comfortable with, I'm sure. And we've probably just got 4 points, really, 4 things we want to bring out that we feel have not only been keys for us, but I think they've been keys in probably now close to 34 years of marriage counselling. When Pastor Sue and I got married, we got back off our honeymoon. That night, we were marriage counselling a couple in the church who were friends of ours who had just decided to go different ways. And we were horrified. And so the day we got back from our 2-week honeymoon, we were marriage counselling. And so, yeah.
And I'd have to say, we knew a whole lot more back then than we do now.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we had so much experience.
Yeah. Everything we learned since we knew it all. Okay, so I'm going to ask Pastor Sue to introduce us.
Okay, so this is us.
That'll keep it honest.
This is us. We've been, as Chris said, in November we'll have been married for 35 years. We have 3 beautiful children who are all, probably one Levi, obviously, and one beautiful daughter-in-law. All our 3 children are so different and have such different interests and look so different. They look like they were all adopted. They're not. I can bear witness to the fact that they are our children. And we have 3 beautiful grandchildren as well. So, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, and we've done okay. We're not perfect, that's for sure, but we're still standing. And the great bulk of the time, we're happy. We're actually very happy.
That's honest.
The great bulk of the time. We are very, very happy. Well, I am.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, that's true that we are, not just that you are.
That's right. Thank you, darling, for clarifying.
Great.
Genesis chapter 2, verses 24, it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." And of course, Jesus in a gospel later on reiterates that very, very verse when he's addressing marriage. And if you think about it, marriage is actually a really crazy concept. Like, it's pretty insane. 2 totally different people coming from 2 totally different family backgrounds, 2 totally different life experiences, different genders, and you are going to try and make this work and actually become like one person, operate like one person. And there's so many differences to start with, but that's actually the joy, the joy in it. There's when you look at that, there's so much potential for pleasure in that, and there's so much potential for pain in that very same thing. And we're not going to address really the physical side of the relationship. That wouldn't be appropriate right here today. I would just say that we kind of are going to, in a subliminal sort of a way, in a between the lines way, because really, if you look at it, we are created for the physical side of a 2 becoming one relationship, for that to work. We're actually, genetically, we're made that way for that to work. Most of the problems are not, if people have problems in that area of intimacy, most of those problems aren't coming from physiological issues. They're coming from the kind of things that we are actually going to address while not talking about the physiological issues. It's actually our inner world, and it's our thinking, and it's our communication, and it's the way that we do relate that actually sometimes has an impact on every area of our lives. So we're not going to go there, but in a sense, we're kind of going to go there. In the Genesis account, if you just look at how we're created, when God made man, he gave him a task. That was the first task. What God gave to woman was a relationship. Men got a task, women got a relationship. You want to know the difference between girls and boys? That sums it up. in so many ways. And of course, there's always, everyone's all over the field. But that is a pretty good generalism. Boys tend to be fairly focused on getting something done. Girls tend to be fairly focused on having a relationship. And if you can make that work, the struggle is real, but if you get it right, it's really worth it. Isn't it, darling?
It is. I think marriage is a journey, and I guess, in that, it's easy to look at someone else's marriage and go, oh, it's easy for them. So, all of you in the room, or most of you in the room would know that Chris grew up in a kind of a Christian environment. I did not. Chris had parents who were a great example of how to do married life very well. I think they were married 59 years when the first one of them passed away. I did not have that. So it's a journey, and I think for me, it's never complete. And I had this thought while I was sitting before I came up, and I thought, how did we get on this journey? And I think for me, I knew where I wanted us to end up. We talked about where we wanted to end up. I wanted to be that cute old couple. Sorry, I feel like I've got my back to you. That cute old couple that, you see walking down the street holding hands that are still so blissfully in love that you just love that. And so if that was the finish point, then the journey had to kind of adjust to end there. And so we're always working on it because there's so many, sorry, my notes keep closing down. There are so many different seasons of life, so many facets of life, so many things that can crop up. There are curveballs that come in. So if you're journeying together, you're constantly adjusting. You're constantly forgiving. You're constantly revisioning where you want to be once you've gone off on this little sidetrack on the side here because you've had some issue come up. But I think the overriding thing is it's a journey. We don't just decide, okay, we're getting married and now it's all good. We just set cruise control and get to the end, because you will not make it. You'll have to brake at some point and cruise control will come off, and then you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah. Exactly right. That's a good analogy,
Thank
darling.
you.
Yes. So the two becoming one flesh, how do you make it work? And I guess we're just going to try and be ultra practical today. Is that okay if we're just ultra practical? And I do think, look, if you're not married, this could be helpful in a lot of different areas of relationships as well anyway. So hopefully this is helpful for everyone. Don't just shut down on it. First point that we made was we're both committed to it. And I think that's just critical. For us, there was no plan B. Going to marriage, this wasn't a test. This wasn't we'll just see if it works out. As a matter of fact, I sort of vacillated for a long time because I'd looked at my parents and I thought, they made it work and I have to be that committed to absolutely making this work. So I wanted to make sure I was prepared as a young person. That's probably why we didn't get married till we were a little bit older.
We weren't really that old.
We weren't that old. We were 26.
People thought we were old.
People thought we were old.
We thought we were old.
We thought we were old.
Yeah.
We've learnt one or two things since then.
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, there's a couple of things that we did. One was we committed to never even in jest saying, I'm going to divorce you, I'm leaving. We just committed to that. It was very intuitive in the beginning. I just feel like for me, what we say out of our mouth, I feel like has a lot of creative power. So once it's out of your mouth, it becomes a possibility. And I'm not saying if you say it, then that's where you're going to end up. But we decided that that's what we would do. We would never, ever, ever mention that even as a joke. We just have never said that. I think the other thing is we were very honest with each other too. So some days, when you have now you can look at the floor married couples, where you have an argument and you think, I don't really like them today. I don't really like them. It's okay, isn't it? Some days he doesn't like me either. I don't like him either. But I still love him, because love and like are two different things. So we were very honest in the beginning with, I'll always love you, but I really don't like you right now. Yes. And you have to become robust enough to take that on the chin. Yeah.
And that was a good pressure relief valve too. Like, it's better to talk openly about that stuff and how you're feeling than to just wait for your partner to guess. Like, I gave up giving Sue the silent treatment.
Because I don't notice.
Because Sue just doesn't notice. She has never bought into that. She's called me out on that manipulation, and it's like, it's 3 days and she still hasn't noticed I'm giving her the silent treatment. And when I finally crack up and say, Haven't you noticed I've been upset? She's like, I asked you 3 days ago, is everything all right? You said yes, and I took you at your word.
Yes. I asked you, you said yes. That was your opportunity.
Yes, exactly right. Mm-hmm. Now, just to qualify that, so obviously we're talking, right, we just make the commitment and we're in, and we've been fortunate enough to stay off the rocks. There's no guarantees in life, we've got to say that. The other thing that I've got to qualify too is we really need this. Don't take that advice if you're in an abusive situation.
Yeah.
If it's actually abusive, then we're not saying make it work at all costs. You probably need to talk to someone outside of it. And if it is abusive, and particularly if it's threatening or harming you as an individual, you probably do need to consider getting out. There's a proviso. There's just no excuse. And it's breaking, if you believe in marriage as a covenant, and I'm sort of, the jury's out for me on that one, but if you believe in it as a covenant, you're breaking the covenant if you are causing your partner to be less in any area. A healthy marriage means that the other person becomes the best version of themselves that they've ever been, and that should reciprocate. That's what a healthy marriage looks like. So if someone's losing in the equation, there's something wrong. And get help, get advice, get a third party in to get eyes on it, would be my advice. I've got the next point.
You do.
Determined to work through every challenge, with that qualifier I just said.
Yes.
Some challenges have a clear endpoint and a resolution, others are ongoing. But what you do need, as I said earlier, is just a commitment to push through. You know, I love holidays, but they're not the norm. Who loves holidays?
Oh, me.
Mm-hmm. But they're not the norm of life. You know what makes holidays great? The grind. The ebb and flow of everyday life. That's actually what makes holidays fantastic. If every day was a holiday, there'd be no such thing as a holiday. And marriage is a little bit the same. Like, a lot of it is just doing life and making things happen and getting through and getting to the next point and getting the kids to school and getting that nappy changed and getting that meal on the table. That's a lot of life. And so you just actually have to be committed to keep pushing through, because there's wonderful highs and moments of joy, but most of life is just life. There's the reality of married life.
I think, make an ongoing decision to commit and then keep making that decision to commit. It's really not that. It's a little bit like our Christian walk, actually. It's like, you know, you can feel great about Jesus and what he's doing in your life one day and the next day feel entirely different because it's about your feelings. And sometimes how you feel isn't actually reality. It's just how you feel. Maybe you had too much pizza the night before. Maybe you're just depressed. Maybe you're having a hard time at work. And it can be really easy to just bring that home. But you just got to determine to just commit to it and keep committing to it, because commitment's actually an act of your will. I get to choose that. Am I willing to do this? And I'd say in that point as well, you know, struggles come up all the time, but choose very wisely which hill you're willing to die on. Yeah. The fact that your husband likes and plays country music 24 hours, 7 days a week could seem like a very good hill to die on.
A deal breaker.
However, noise-cancelling headphones are a great gift if you know someone in that space.
Please don't give such recent examples, darling. I guess what we're talking about, just to summarise it, if you look at love, and our society has, you know, generally made love such a shallow thing. It's attraction, it's feelings, it's sex, it's whatever. But actually love, and particularly for the husband and wife, Paul writes in Ephesians 5 that marriage is like Christ and the church, this relationship. And that, for a start, husbands should lay down their lives. So what does love look like? Love actually just looks like absolute commitment through the pain. Yeah. That's actually what it looks like. And sometimes the feelings are there, which make it a lot easier. I tell you what, it's a lot easier when the feelings are there. But just because the feelings aren't there, I'm sure Jesus wasn't hanging on the cross going, wow, I just feel so good about dying for the whole world right now. No way in the world. He was sweating blood in Gethsemane just thinking about it. And yet commitment took him through. And I guess we're saying that's kind of, you've kind of got to be prepared to bleed a bit.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about communication.
Consistent communication. Not perfect, but consistent. What did I say?
Not perfect, but consistent.
But consistent. Consistent
Was
communication.
that a test?
No. I was hoping everyone else would say it, but it really gave me pleasure that you said it straight away. Beware the gaps. Beware the gaps. You know, when there's gaps in communication, gaps are generally a sign that something's wrong, and you should actually take notice of that, because if you don't start filling the gaps with love, understanding, forgiveness and communication, the gaps get filled with stuff like resentment. So when there's gaps, when communication breaks down, you've got to work very hard, and sometimes it's really awkward. It is really, really insane that someone that you love, you commit your life to, can be the hardest person on earth to talk to sometimes, to just raise the subject with. Come on, has anyone felt that? Where it's like, oh, no. And maybe peace looks like the better option. Can I just say, sometimes it might be. Like, I'm not saying be nagging at one another all the time, but if you know that there's a bit of space and there hasn't been quality communication and you're starting to drift, it is time to have a difficult conversation.
True.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to disagree. I think some people look at it and think, oh, no, we don't agree. We don't agree 100% on everything. Can I just say, have you met us? Honestly. It's okay to disagree because you're actually two individual people, and you might have agreed on something when you first met, or you may have said you agreed on something when you first met. Like, I agreed that I liked going motorbike riding in the cold, and that was a lie.
Pastor Sue deceived me.
I was an absolute... I didn't enjoy... No, to qualify that, I did enjoy spending time with him, no matter what that looked like. My preference after we got married was not to do it on the back of a motorbike. So we're still individuals, but I think the differences don't have to divide us. They can actually bring balance. So when Chris and I did our little prepare and enrich before we got married, we filled it out. It was a remarkable... Peter Aspen is here, so you can ask him afterwards. We only had one growth area that he told us about. And we agreed on so many things. One of them was raising children. And then we had children. And...
Yes.
And we discovered that it's one thing to say you agree on something, quite two to outwork that agreement when you actually have children. But I would say this, the differences didn't have to divide us. It just meant that I err more on the unconditional love side, so I'm happy to just put up with most things because I just want to love them. And Chris probably is the other side. He brings the expectations, and who knows without the repercussions, and who knows without that, it'd be really unbalanced. So just because you disagree doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Finance. We were raised in very different families of origin. I was an only child who was adopted of older parents who were well off. I did not have a care in the world. Chris was the youngest of 6. So
in a battler family.
In a battler family. So we had very different, to me, money was a tool. To Chris, money was something that you had to get and hide under the mattress for a rainy day. We had very different outlook on finance, but it has brought balance, because if I was in charge of it, well, we'd probably, I don't know. And if you're in charge of it, well, I don't know either.
We would be boring indeed.
We would be boring indeed. And the other thing I'd say too is celebration is a big thing. Again, only child, always celebrated Chris. Not celebrated, but the last of 6, and his closest siblings are twins and 7 years older than him, and the siblings above them are twins and 7 years older than them. So his parents were getting a little older, is what I'm saying, by the time he came along. And for me, I'm very much like, I love to celebrate things. Chris is way more task focused. It's like, tick, done, move on. Tick, done, move on. I'm like, no, wait, let's celebrate. Let's go out to dinner. Let's do this. Let's celebrate it. But it's brought balance in our lives.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Here's another key, and I guess this is all under communication. We'll have to move along really quickly.
Okay, I'll stop talking.
No, don't stop talking.
How about we both stop talking?
Just a key, and anyone who's, I guess, been spoken to me about your marriages over the years, you've probably heard this. So there might be a few nodding heads in this place. But an absolute key is work on the relationship, not your partner. And I do something, a little simple tool I use where I say to people, don't sit facing opposite one another trying to have a big discussion. Sit side by side and put something on the table in front of you, a coffee mug or anything, and go, right, that's our relationship. I'm not trying to work on my partner because face to face, that tension will happen. What we have to talk about is our relationship and whether it's working or not, whether we're happy with it or not. But I'm not going to talk about whether I'm happy with you or not, because that just never works. You just end up, but you always and she never and blah, blah, blah. That's the way it goes. But it's like you might say, well, I'm not really happy with where our finances are at. I'm not really happy with our physical relationship. I'm not very happy right now with how we're disciplining or raising the kids. Let's talk about this home we're building.
Yeah.
Not about one another. And then both of you can agree, well, then let's build what we agree on. And that might mean I have to change the way I speak or the way I act or whatever, and both partners contribute to make it work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's good communication. Don't come at one another. Don't try and fix one another. Ask Pastor Sue. It'll never happen.
Won't happen.
Right? It'll never happen. You'll never fix your partner, will you, Pastor Sue?
Because she doesn't need fixing.
But you can make leaps and bounds on your relationship that will make you happier with your partner.
I think too, one of the things, we have these little things that we say, I think that really help us, and things that we put in place. So one of the things we put in place very early that I have not liked many times is we have this little saying that when we're in a disagreement, the most mature one apologises first. Doesn't that sound beautiful? Mm-hmm. So spiritual. When we're in the midst of a disagreement, I don't care who the most mature one is, I just want to win. But I am determined to be the most mature one because I'm quite stubborn, and so it becomes, in the back of my mind, if we get to an impasse, I'm like, darn it, most mature one. Who's going to be the most? I'm going to be the most mature one. I'm going to apologise first.
It's very good.
I think too, be committed to be committed to what is best for the other person. Chris and I have very different interests. You've met him. He's got hot cars, country music, and other activities that I'm like, not really what I would want to do, but I'm committed to the best for him. So I see the enjoyment in it for him, and that actually makes me happy. Because selfishness in a relationship is a killer. If I was to say to him, I don't want you to do that because I don't like it, so we're going to do this, he would hate it. I would hate it because he would hate it. I mean, shopping, seriously. He's great. Surgical strike? Absolutely. Me wandering around, touching, feeling, getting things off the shelves, not so good.
Why do girls,
not so
I
good.
still haven't worked out, why do they have to touch things they're not going to buy?
It's part of the process, right?
Yeah, that's
it's just part of the process.
That's a point of tension that we haven't been able to work out for 35 years.
Part of the process.
I see I'm getting a tick.
Deal with it.
Yes, we've got to run. Okay. Just another practical thing there. I remember a season a while ago where I really just wanted to throw it in. I mean, I was just like, there's got to be an easier life. And I was painting old cars at the time and enjoying it, and I thought I could make a lot of money doing this, and I don't need the hassle. And you know what? Number one, Sue's always been great when it comes to that. Whenever pressure comes on, she says things like, well, as soon as you hear from God, I'm right behind you. And of course, I'm not hearing from God. I'm just hearing from the way I feel about things. But I do remember distinctly making a decision because I thought it would not be fair on Sue, because for years she was in the background raising children while we were in ministry. We've been in ministry since we were 29, senior pastors since we were 29 years of age. And so Sue has done so many hard yards unseen, literally led 2 people to Christ, raised them up, who started our first kids' churches in our first church. Did everything with a baby on a hip, and a total unsung hero. And to me, it was like it would be so unfair if I gave up now when she's finally actually got the opportunity to really step up and do what's always been in her heart. sometimes you've just got to make, and now I'm really happy. Like, that was a season, and I'm glad I pushed through the season, because we've been in a wonderful season ever since. It's been an absolute blessing. But I think the decision came back to, I can't do this for what it would mean for my partner. I just need to tough it out. And sometimes we just need to tough it out for our partner. Let's keep going. Let's go to your favourite topic, keeping it fun.
Keeping it fun. Okay.
So one of the things that we've done that's really helped us when it comes to little tips, I try every year, it's generally when we're going on some form of annual leave or we're travelling together, going to a conference or something, I try and catch Sue a little bit unawares and I pop this question: are you still happy? Are you still having fun? Are you still happy to be married to me? And I ask it very, very honestly and say, please tell me, are you still having fun? Is this still what you want? And that has been
key.
It's been an absolute key, because it leads to deeper conversations sometimes of how we can improve it, how we can make our lives what we want them to be. And I think that's reflected, if any of you have followed me on social media over the years, I've got a little hashtag that I think I stole off Pastor Sue, love the life you choose.
You did steal it off me.
Yeah, I use it all the time, love the life you choose.
Oh, I'm happy you stole it.
Because I just figure in Deuteronomy, Scripture says, God says, I place before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life. And if that is an eternal issue, that we get to choose life, how much more in this temporal life should we be actually making quality choices to live the life that we love? To make our lives what we want them to be. And there are some things that take choices out of your hand. I do understand that. But I tell you what, most of life is our choice on how we respond to what happens. Cool.
Do you want to...
Are you still having fun?
I'm still having fun.
We need to get Pastor Levi up here. I think he needs to come and start asking us
I think he does
questions.
too. While Levi's coming, I'll just say some of the things that we do to keep it fun. We dance in the kitchen. Our kids used to get really embarrassed. I don't care. We dance in the kitchen. We are not good dancers, just by the way. Please don't visualise it. We make funny quips. So whenever we're going on holidays, I'm trying to say it properly, we will wake up in the morning on that day and say we're going on holling days. And back before we had electric toothbrushes, we used to buy a new toothbrush to celebrate. That was what?
Back when money was tight. And I remember date night was borrowed Bush Tucker Man videos from the local library and Clicks Bickies with olives and cheese, and that was date night. That was like the big highlight of the week.
Well, who?
For both of us.
I
You
loved
said
it.
you liked Bush Tucker Man. Okay.
I mean, I have higher expectations now, but yes.
Sue has much higher expectations that involve money now.
Yes. Sorry, are you handing to Levi? Okay.
Yeah, I guess we better get there. We've just
go.
tried to throw out some keys, some simple keys. So let's get some questions back real quick.
Great. First of all, thank you, everyone, for your questions. There's heaps there. I think the QR code will go back up in a second if you want to keep asking questions. Just a few things. Obviously, we can't get to all the questions, so apologies for that. We're going to try really keep it on topic. So if you've sent through a question that's not necessarily on topic and it disappears, it's just we've kindly moderated that. The other thing I would just say really quickly, there's been some really great questions that are obviously very personal, and it just really shows that this is an area of pain for a lot of people. And I just encourage you, maybe if we don't get to your question today, it'd be worth booking an appointment with either a pastor or a counsellor, sitting down and actually talking to someone about your relationship, just looking at some of the questions. I think that'd be really appropriate.
We might be able to do a bit of an on the couch this week with some that we don't get to. Maybe.
We didn't follow up on some. Yeah, that'd be good.
Keep an eye on social media.
The first one was very serious, which was from Slater, which was the best way to convince my wife to let me shave my head. 21 people want to know the answer to that question.
I don't believe I actually ever got asked that
22.
question. It just was a practicality.
No. I was sitting at the hairdresser's and we'd been using the number 3s for a while, and she ran the clippers over and she showed me that she had like 6 strands of hair. And she said, I think it's time we went to number 2s. And I said, I think it's time we lost the guards. And I can't tell you the amount of money I've saved, because I would have been 33, 34.
Yeah, then we bought our own clippers, so you know.
Close to 30 years worth of haircuts is what
I would
we've
say,
saved.
just
That's
as
a lot of money.
proviso on that, if you're not good at using clippers, girls, and your husband asks you at 5 o'clock bath time when you have 3 children, please don't attempt.
Yes,
It did
I had one
cause-
of those moments where Sue went zzz and went, whoops. That's while I still had hair.
Yeah, not for long.
So shifting gears, what practical
Don't do it, Slade.
what practical things would you suggest for a married couple who love each other but are in a season of feeling distant and disconnected?
That's a great question.
Do you want to?
No.
I would
want
say
you
if
to
you
answer.
feel distant, then you've got to do things that help you to connect. So I would suggest, and again, it doesn't have to be extravagant. Find something that you both like. It might be a series on Netflix, and commit to spending the time together. Commit to, Chris and I go to coffee every week. We go every week. And it's just a reconnection point because we realise that you can let those really important things go. And one of the things we love to do, might not be obvious, is talk, both of us. And so we go out and we'll talk. And we talk about the hard stuff, but we also talk about the good stuff and remind ourselves of how great it is.
Yep, I think that's a key. You've got to find something to do together and commit to it. But first, it's got to start with an honest conversation, which is non-recriminatory. You're not accusing your partner, but just saying, look, I feel like we've come to a fairly low ebb. Could we re-energise our marriage? Let's just be intentional. Most of what we talk about is about being intentional. The problem I think people get into is we just think it should work. What's wrong with this? It's just not working. And it's like, hang on, just stop, recalibrate, get intentional. You can make it work. You can add the spark. You can get it back. You can do that.
And I think it's normal. It's normal to feel disconnected at points when you're journeying with someone for 35 years or more.
On that, another question that has been really popular is just like, how do you, I guess just following on from that even, how do you maintain that intentionality in the season of young kids? So obviously you've got less free time. You can't just be like, let's go grab a coffee tomorrow morning necessarily. How do you maintain?
When we had small kids, we would put them to bed. Some of them, one of them who's sitting on the platform, never slept, so, you know.
Gee, must.
None of our kids ever
I
slept.
can't tell you about the amount of date nights you crashed.
So many.
You're welcome.
many.
You're welcome.
But we
What
would
doesn't
do
kill you?
something very simple, like, you know, your kids go to bed, do something simple, have a picnic on the lounge room floor, or if you've got kids who are in daycare and you're able to take it doesn't have to be a whole day. You just want some time to reconnect. I think Chris said we watched Bush Tucker Man, which was, we really loved it. It sounds really cheesy now, but there were times in our lives where we just watched Get Smart or things like that, where it's fun, we're connecting, feed your kids early, put them to bed, do something. And I think too, you can connect while your kids are there. I think it's a bit of a fallacy that you can't connect while your kids are there. You know, if they're out playing happily in the backyard, make a cup of tea, go sit on the back deck, have a conversation. You might get interrupted, but you might not either. So I think it's intentionality of just finding ways where you can connect and times that you can connect.
And my encouragement would be, it's a season.
Yeah.
Just for parents, and it's a really difficult season to find time, but it is just a season. And if you can get through that, you'll come into a space where you go, wow, so glad we stayed connected, because you actually do get a bit of your freedom back as your kids get older.
Very good. There's been a lot of questions around the topic of submission. Can you just talk to that? Like, what's it look like submitting?
I often say...
please talk to that.
Whenever...
Just get comfortable.
It's simple, really. Whenever Sue gets out of line...
So every day.
I just make her get down on her knees to speak to me. And generally she's saying something like, come out from under the bed and fight like a man.
Seriously
honestly,
now.
The whole submission headship thing, the issue with that is people love to take that out and set it as a separate issue and forget the cross of Jesus Christ in the middle of it all. That we prefer one another. The whole thought of Jesus emptied himself, although he was God, considered it not did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing. That's what Paul says to do in the marriage relationship. And I've always felt like if a man, and I think I've seen it, if a man makes every major decision of his life after marriage, which he should be making it this way, with his partner in mind, the home that they're building, the family they have, and it's selfless, and it's like Jesus, self-emptying love, kenotic love is the Greek word for it. If he does that, any woman will not have a problem with submission. You won't have a problem with... The problems with submission come when there's a problem with headship.
Right, yeah.
If you get leadership right, submission's not even a thing to speak about. It shouldn't even be a topic.
Yeah.
Ask me how I really feel.
There have been very few decisions in our life, though, that we haven't. But there have been a couple where I've just gone, I don't want to make it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to make it. It's too tough, don't know.
I would say, honestly, we could count on the fingers of one hand less than the amount of times where I've made a major decision about our lives and Sue hasn't wanted to be part of it or hasn't been a part of it for whatever reason. And we've probably done that a bit intuitively because we're trying to build something together. Again, it comes back down to if you get a selfish person who's just determined to get their way, there's always going to be tension. If two people surrender to one another and go, the two will become one flesh, and we're going to honour Christ, I'm going to lay my life down for you as Christ did the church. Again, women, submit to your husbands. That happens naturally when the husband's worth submitting to. That's just what I think. If someone mentions that issue, I think the answer is always leadership. It doesn't matter what the question was. And that comes back to the man.
Very good. Can we appreciate that answer, I think?
Good answer.
A tricky question to answer. A real practical one here, which a lot of people want to know the answer to. It seems very specific, the question, but seeing how many people have the question, maybe it's not. He gets frustrated when I put the dishes on both sides of the sink, and I get frustrated when he plays games instead of doing the dishes. Help.
I'd be frustrated if you were playing games too. I'd say to that one, grow up. Be a man. You're a man now, you're not a boy. So... in your spare time, you can do the boy things, but when it comes to running the house, most practical thing we ever did, and I think it can be applied to a lot of things, there was always tension for us with who made the bed, right? Who's going to make the bed of a morning? And Sue was always a super early riser.
Still.
And still is. And then she'd come home and I'd have got out and got a head full of work or whatever and forgot and come home and the bed's not made. And it was a point of tension. So we made a very simple rule. Last out makes the bed.
Worked for me.
And it did work for you too, very well. But honestly, it just took all that tension out. There was no need for tension. There was just no tension. And now, funnily enough, we generally get out at about the same time and helping one another make it. You grab your side, I grab my side, and it's done. Like
Sometimes, a couple of times I've come out and he's made his side.
And your side.
And I've gotten up and
And
he hasn't
your
made my
side.
side. A couple of times. But, again, choose the hill you want to die on, seriously.
Get it practical. Get it practical. Sit down and go, let's agree. This is how we do it.
I must admit,
Does that
I
make
get
sense?
more of those than Chris does. Like, I'm only allowed 2 pairs of shoes at the top of the stairs because I tend to dump my 77,000 pairs of shoes at the top of the stairs. And I tend to put things in the sink that should go in the dishwasher. So, I feel it, yeah.
Maybe a couple of rapid fire ones. How to make prayer together not awkward.
There's nothing like a good crisis to sort that one out.
Oh, don't be awkward. I'm sorry, that's pretty practical, isn't it?
It is funny. I mean, we've had this conversation that, do we pray together enough? We probably don't. We probably should pray together more. I mean, it's an endless question, though, isn't it? It's like you ask a Christian, how long should you read your Bible? How much should you pray? It's like it's an endless string. But I think again, it's got to come back to an honest agreement. Hey, are you happy to pray together? Can we pray together? That's what I desire. Let's work on the relationship. Our prayer life, non-existent, low ebb. can we talk about our prayer life? You know, rather than an accusation of, you never pray with me. No, let's sit down. Could we talk about our prayer life, our spiritual life? Because I just feel it's at a low ebb. And I guess it's give and take, and you've got to try and work it out, and everyone's at a different place on the journey. But I do think for a Christian marriage at some point, you should be praying together regularly. You should be praying together about your kids and your finances, your marriage, and the way you serve Jesus in the world.
And I'd say talk about it. If you feel awkward, talk about it. If you feel like the other person is pressuring you to pray in a way that is more acceptable to them, talk about it. Talk about it. Chris and I pray very differently, but we've just come to an agreement on, you know, I talk like I'm talking to him. So, yeah, I think just work it out between you. If you feel awkward, talk about it.
Nice.
While on the subject of awkward, the moderator just ran a question.
Oh, is it awkward?
I said we'd do it.
Great.
I appreciate, and I hope everyone here appreciates, that we've kept the physiological side out of things so much. Sitting here interviewing my parents about this, so just feel for me for a second, and if you'd like to interview your parents about this. On that topic, though, one of the questions is, how do we keep intimacy alive in marriage when not always feeling it?
Well, it's not a feeling, I don't think. I think if...
I'd like to think there's some feeling attached.
No, I mean, it's not a matter of feeling like it sometimes. I think it's the differences between boys and girls. And again, it's something to be navigated and talked about, because different seasons in life bring different challenges. I think especially to women, I'll probably speak to this one, especially to women, you know, childbirth, everything changes. However, our level of connection can't.
That's it.
So we have to talk about it. We have to talk about, and that is Chris giving some, saying, okay, my expectations have to change, and my expectations might have to come up a bit, because menopause, yay for the menopausal women here, brings lots of changes that are actually physiological, but our connection can't. So we have to talk about it. We have to navigate it. We have to talk about expectations, and we have to talk about making it, because when you're young, it can be spontaneous. You've got no children, it's great. When you have kids, when your life gets a bit further along, it's not quite as simple as that. So it does have to be navigated. It doesn't mean it has to mean less, be less meaningful, or be anything other than a great intimate connection between both of you, but you have to talk about it and navigate it.
Yep. And it's certainly something that, you can't just sort of go, right, let's just change it.
No.
We've already given the keys in a sense. Keys is ongoing, consistent communication. Develop that in every area of your life, especially while you're young in your marriage, because it will serve you later on really, really well. And what we've also said about, connection, just meaningful time together, whether that's a coffee, it's just got to be a commitment where it's like every week, that's our night, or that's our morning, or that's, we have breakfast, or we have coffee, or the kids are in bed and we watch a movie and eat a pizza, or whatever it might be. But for us, Fridays are our day off, and Friday morning has for, I don't know how many years now, probably 30 years, has been non-negotiable for us. That has been our day off ever since we've been full-time in ministry. So Friday morning is absolutely non-negotiable unless we talk about it and we're both happy to say we'll go our separate ways, or I could be away for work or for a conference, Sue could be whatever. We even have holidays separately sometimes. If just short ones, like 2 or 3 day break to refresh. Sue goes to visit friends in Brisbane and stays at South Bank in a hotel or whatever, and I go bush. I mean, to me, being the only person on 10,000 acres sounds like a dream. That is a dream. I mean, I dream about it all the time, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do it several times a year. So we go our separate ways, but we have these points in our life every week consistently that rarely get adjusted. We have to, and that's what leads to natural intimacy. Because you're not trying to all of a sudden connect when you haven't been connected for a week. You've actually been connected all week. And that's kind of the ramp in. And I find, just physiologically, as a man, that's more important to me now than what it once was. You know, I've always said boys only need one thing, they wake up. But girls need a little bit more emotional connection. Well, I think the older you get, the more you sort of become a little bit on the same page there.
And I think it's a priority. If it's a priority, you've got to prioritise it. So it's always been a priority for us. So we prioritise it because it's, yeah.
And again, talk about it. If you're not happy, things aren't happening, got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Got to talk about it.
Or talk to someone.
Without accusing your partner, you got to talk about it. Say, let's work on this area. Can we talk about this area of our lives? Two are one flesh. And everything in this world tries to break that down and separate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
If you think there's some good questions there that would bear us doing it on the couch session, we will.
Yeah, so maybe stay tuned on our social media this week. I think it'd be good to do a little live video or something with you guys addressing some of the other ones on here. For sure.
So here's a couple of questions to leave you with. If you're married here in this place, are you totally committed to your marriage? And it wouldn't be untoward to just recommit yourself even in these moments if you feel like, you know what, I've started to treat it a bit optional, or I've started to really worry or wonder about what the future holds. Great opportunity to have a conversation with your partner, especially if they're here with you today, and say, let's really, really commit to this like we haven't for a long time. What conversations do you need to have with your partner after today and listening to this? Are there conversations about specific things? Remember the key, sit shoulder to shoulder, not face to face, shoulder to shoulder, and work on the relationship, not one another. Do your decisions reflect what's best for your partner? That's a good one to reflect on. Do we work on each other or the relationship, and are you keeping it fun? What are you doing so that you actually laugh together? It's a good thing to do. At one point we were going through a really, really tough season, and we actually just went out and bought the old series of Get Smart on DVD. And we watched, that was date night, we watched 2 or 3 episodes of Get Smart just so that we started laughing again. Because life with teenagers is not always easy. And so we just needed to laugh again and get some brevity back into our lives. So do intentional things to make it happen. What do you want? Love the life you choose.